y'all are so nice to want to hear my story. So I really appreciate you all coming out. This is a large crowd. St. Agnes major posse. Loyalty, which I think is very cool. And from what I gather, everybody is, I mean, are we talking how many years out now? Are we in like,
it depends.
It's all right. Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm representing normal. So it just is a total range.
Class of 2012, I made 8.
Well, that's so cool that you have this network, that you're all connected, and that, you know, I don't know how many of you know about my brand, but I've been doing this for, gosh, almost 16 years now, and talking about connection and women coming together. The brand really has ultimately evolved into that becoming really kind of why we exist, and our purpose is really to connect and empower women and inspire women, and while doing that, we change lives and make a difference. You know, that's sort of, we use this fashion platform to kind of have an impact in the community. And that, you know, and that's sort of something I'll lead into and kind of give you my story, but that's really where it has evolved and grown sort of organically over the past 16 years. And so that's kind of why I get up in the morning, is to really, you know, it used to be to get up and go visit my factory in Brooklyn and try to renegotiate my prices, but now I get up and think, what kind of impact can I have in the world, and how can I make a difference through really what I've built and what I've done. So I'll just give you a quick little bio, just since I do think some of y'all are kind of on your new, you know, fresh career journeys, and hopefully I can offer you a little bit of wisdom and I don't know, maybe just food for thought. But I started, like I said, 16 years ago, and I was born and raised, initially I was in Sugar Land, which I was telling you, we've been closed for something. And my family, my dad is an entrepreneur, and so a lot of people kind of ask me, you know, what was sort of your main thing, or how did you know that you would end up doing what you do? And really, it's funny, I would actually say entrepreneurship is probably the #1 thing that was sort of in my DNA at a very young age, and it was watching my dad. And so I was sort of preached to, you know, all along of like, okay, find out what you're good at, and find out what you love, and then figure out how you can turn it into a business. And I'm talking like 8, you know, I just wanted to say, like, find out what you're good at, find out what you're good at. And so I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. But when someone's an entrepreneur, I think that in looking at my dad, they really usually have kind of a maverick mentality. They're usually left of center. They might not have totally fit in their whole life. You know, they usually have got some sort of alternative way of looking at things, which my dad definitely did, and I think a very strong-minded, independent spirit as well. And so, you know, that was always sort of ingrained in me. And so I was always thinking about, as I was, you know, getting older, okay, how am I going to open up my own business? Not knowing at all what it would be. And, you know, now that I know how hard it is to have your own business, you know, my dad and I have a little bit of a conflict going. But no, I love my dad. And I'm like, why did you tell me to do this? No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it's like, to be an entrepreneur, you have to kind of, you know, you just kind of have to do it. I mean, it's not really about that it all adds up. You know, it just doesn't. But you just it's sort of in you. So, and the other part of that equation is my mother, who, because I always think everything starts, you know, foundationally, right? And my mother was very, very visual and artistic, and she was a writer. So I grew up with this sort of entrepreneur business maverick kind of guy, and then mom was like writing, you know, children's stories and submitting them into contests, and in her little loft space doing all this expressive, you know, creative work. And so she was watching me at a young age with the way that I visually communicated. So she kind of always said, so your visual language, you know, how I would put myself together. And so she was always encouraging me to really pursue that. So I was lucky that I had parents that didn't look at the arts in a way that wasn't practical. You know, a lot of, in our society today, the arts are sort of the first thing to go in all the schools, and you know, you hear so many parents sort of discouraging their kids going down that route, and you know, totally get it. You think, oh, that's just not as practical, or it's not, you know, the way that you're going to be able to pay your mortgage. But I was lucky that my parents kind of believed that, you know, it's not really, the road isn't always 1 + 1 = 2. It's really about finding what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and usually you can figure out a way for it to pay the bills, and it doesn't mean you have to start a brand to do that. You know, you can, like Meredith, you know, she probably had an alternative path, but since she's had a job for a long time, so I've known you. We're lucky now that you work for me, but you know, where she was able to translate those skills into the workforce. So I encourage all of y'all, you know, if you do have a passion for the arts and there's something gnawing at you, you know, try to figure out a way that you feel like it could work, because I do think that that's something that I've seen, that, you know, the world is very much like engineering is, you know, the way the economic engine works, and it does, but I just believe that the arts have such a place in society, and not only just for the economics of it, but also for the emotional growth that it brings to so many people. So that's kind of my spiel on that, just to give you a little bit of the brand kind of umbrella and kind of how we've ended up being where we are. I started the company in 2000, so I'm actually almost 17 years now, and I initially started making samples in Brooklyn, New York, and I met my husband in New York. I'm from Chicago, but I moved to New York. I met my husband, and he works with me now. I started the business on my own. He was in private equity. He was a financial investment banking type of person. And I started making these samples just on my own, with my own money. Like, oh, I'm just gonna make like 10 of these bags. And so I just was like very, very grassroots. I didn't have some big business plan, or I just started to see what I think I could create. And the guy at the time who was making my samples was making a lot of the Kate Spade purses too. So he had a pretty healthy business. So I was sort of like, oh, okay, well, you can make, you know, on the side. He liked me, so he'd make these bags for me. And then he was like, you think you're going to be a Kate Spade? I'm like, I'm still trying. Kate's like in the Hamptons now, like on a hammock. And I'm still, you know, I'm here for me to say that. And so she's not even off. She's just filling in her now. But so I started making the bags, and then I moved back to Houston in the middle of all that, because I thought, well, I gotta get, you know, from Texas, I was like, I gotta be near my family. And I got pregnant really fast, and I'm still making these bags, and then he would ship them to me, and so I'd have them all in the living room. And I just got in my car, and I'd be pregnant, and I would go to the stores and say, hey, you want to buy my bags? And I mean, back then I was just like, you don't have to buy them. I'll just put them in your store. You know, just do consignment, And I mean, I got lucky. I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, if you just want me to. I was like, okay. So they just give me a little space on the floor, and some of them will let me do trunk shows, and I was just all pregnant. And I don't know if I lost my mind, but I was just like, yeah. And then my big break was Tootsie's. So Mickey took, you know, I got really lucky. He actually met with me, and he loved kind of mentoring young new designers, and he was like, yeah, just bring him in. And he actually bought an order from me, my first order, and he gave me this big merchandise sort of space, retail space, and we did a big trunk show. And that was kind of my first moment where I thought, well, maybe I could really start doing this for a living. And it was also at the time, because now I know it seems like it's always been big, but actually the accessories business wasn't really how designers carved out a brand. It was always through ready-to-wear and clothing. And back then it was just when accessories were becoming really, really big. And I don't know what your ages are, but I don't know if you remember, like Donna Karan started doing all these different accessories, and even Ralph Lauren started spinning off and doing a lot of leather goods. And so it was sort of riding that wave a little bit, where handbags were really kind of like making a statement. You know, people were really into it. So I got lucky that that was sort of the timing that people were really accepting of, you know, starting a brand with just accessories. So I did that, and then I got into Tootsie's, and then we just sort of, like a very much of a stair step. We just and have since grown very organically through the years. And we grew with Tootsie's, and we got into Neiman Marcus. I made these little raffia bags, like with tortoise handles, and I did this whole like resort look, and that was kind of my look. You know, I was like, I do resort, you know, I go on vacation all the time. Not. I know. I was like pitching, like I'm real into the, you know, the islands. You know, when I was younger, I was a kid, and I could like write off the parents, but I haven't been to the Caribbean since. So I'm like lying, you know. So they were like, yeah, our customer loves the Caribbean. So they would buy all these raffia bags from me, and I was just like, oh, I'm doing great. And then as we kind of evolved and kind of started thinking, okay, wait a minute, we got to do more than bags. And, you know, working with the big retailers and being in wholesale, you just feel so tied. Your hands are tied because they're constantly just like, we gotta do this, you gotta return that, we gotta have more of that, and everything was at the beck and call of all these big box retailers. So that's when we opened up our first store in Rice Village. And I'll never forget the day my husband came upstairs, and we were really stressed out. We were so frustrated with wholesale, and how are we going to grow when we're at the hands of all these big retailers, and we have to write markdown money checks, and they have me travel and do all these trunk shows, and our margins weren't that good, and we were just kind of hitting a wall. And that's when he also came to the business full time and was like, you know what, I want to really help you with my skill set, because you don't have it. And, but that's okay. We all are good at what we're good at, and follow that. I'm not a big believer in people explore what you're not good at. I'm like, no, stick at what you're good at. No, I'm kidding. But it's like, just stick where you're good. So he, came in, and then I'll never forget, he came upstairs, and there was this really, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but there was kind of this little trashy town. It was like a perfume store right below, and I worked, I don't know where y'all know my store. Sorry, and I don't mean that rude.
No, you remember my Baskin Robbins.
I never knew. But my office was right up those stairs, and it was she was kind of, I know. And so she said, hey, I'm getting out of here, we're getting rid of the space, would you ever take it and sell your purses and stuff? And just for some reason, just something clicked, and my husband, he's like, maybe we will. And she was like, okay, call me, the lady who owned the store. So he came up the stairs and walked to my office and said, I think we should take that space downstairs. It's not very expensive. We've got all this inventory, and we need to see if we can do this ourselves and sell it directly to the consumer, and we can control the experience, and we can create this brand experience, get a better margin, And I was like, you are absolutely out of your mind. I did not. That is a gross estate. And he was just like, oh my God, overlook that. We're going to make it pretty. It'll be great. You just have to do it. So anyway, I was like, okay. So he convinced me, and that was our journey of our first store. And now that I'm talking about, it's probably my most emotional phase in the business. What it means the most to me is when we were able to open that first store. I felt a large sense of my internal authority or internal power coming back at me. I was kind of at an insecure point in my career at that point, and then when I was able to open up that store, I thought, wait a minute. A light bulb kind of went off, maybe I could really do this. Maybe I could control this experience and really turn this into something much bigger than just me hawking bags to Neiman Marcus, and shipping at their beck and call. So we did, and it was great. It's hard, but we had this great team, and we didn't know anything. We still are learning, but we were just like, okay, just do what you can, see if they'll buy it. We didn't have we didn't know. We were totally green, because my skill set is product development, design, manufacturing. That's my whole wheelhouse. It's not retail, but there's people out there that retail is their entire lifeblood. So we were lucky to get early on some really good retail people who, one of them is on our board now, and he was a big member of the whole Gap expansion under Mickey Drexler, and he kind of found out about the brand, and he's helped us. But that really helped shape this retail landscape that we now have today. Because without it, me and my husband were just like, what do we do? How much square foot should they be, and how do you, just the whole thing, the merchandising. So the retail, evolution has been, I think, a huge challenge, but it's also been empowering at the same time. It's not easy, and especially in an environment like we are today, things are a little tougher, but it's also, it's yours. You're not just stuck between a rock and hard place dealing with all these wholesalers. So that's kind of that retail story. And then, back to kind of how we've evolved with the retail platform into this whole purpose story. So really, how I started off this speech was back to the purpose of, we used our retail platform in these spaces to bring women together, to connect women, and to talk about hard issues. We represent, gosh, how many charities a year do we highlight in our stores?
We have over 300 events.
Yeah, last night, this is something I want to, and I promise I won't talk that much longer, but we hosted last night here at the Boulevard store a party for benefiting Best Buddies, which is an unbelievable charity, and I'll tell you about this in a minute. But one of my best friends in the whole world is Elizabeth Irvine, and she does a lot of healing work. She's a yoga teacher, and she's a jewelry designer, and she does all this stuff. And we, every year, do a product together that we collaborate. So this is kind of back to kind of where I've evolved, is now that I've evolved into this very much contributive culture, purpose-driven and empowering women. And so Elizabeth and I do products each year to kind of symbolize what that means to us, and then we give the proceeds to charities that are near and dear to our heart. So this year we did this. It's called the Mitra bracelet, which Mitra means friendship in Sanskrit. And the mandala is Elizabeth's logo, and then mine's a bamboo. So we make some. We think we're so clever. But so this is like a little glammy version of a friendship bracelet, because I can't do like thread or anything like that. And so we love it. And 15% of the proceeds of this bracelet go to Best Buddies, who we had here last night. And so an example of what I'm talking about is Best Buddies came in, their team, and they talked to a big group of women about what they do. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up to you is this is, we're talking about a school, a very famous school in Houston, St. Agnes, which a lot of well-known, it's so, I don't even know how the word is, I don't want to use the lead, but like everybody who goes there comes out with this incredible education. And Best Buddies is based on this idea that they form chapters in these schools, right? So they bring these young people together. So I don't know the politically correct words, but like neurotypical kids, and then they pair them with kids who have IDD, so developmental delays, and then they really foster long-term friendships with these kids. So they're always looking to build new chapters out in the community. So we were able to talk to all these women, and I found out today 2 more chapters are being formed, one at Memorial High School today and one at Kincaid High School, because the women who were there last night found out about Best Buddies. So that's when I get up and I brush my teeth to go. When I got those 2 emails, and I got one from the Kincaid lady, head of charity, that they're going to start the chapter. And my good friend at Memorial, I thought, that's what I do right there, because it's not about just like, here we are with all this pretty fashion. It's how that parlays out into the community, and then the lives that are shifted because of it, and I think that's really ultimately kind of why we're all here, because I'm a big believer we're all here to help each other. And that's really what we're all doing. We're all here to learn and grow and help each other. And I think that that's kind of my whole thing, it's like, it's not just what the trends are. I will tell you about the trends, but it's really about how can I help somebody, and especially those who are most vulnerable. So that is something I wanted to tell you. And then another big initiative, and we have these brochures for anybody, or if you have any questions, if any of y'all are interested in the St. Agnes chapter, I can help you make that happen, because I think it's transformative for all the children. Really. And it's shape-shifting. If you go on their website and learn, and I don't know if any Texans fans in here, but the O'Briens are huge. They've really adopted this charity since they've moved to Houston. So Colleen's a big customer of ours as well in our Rice Village store. And she...
I have her info. Sorry.
So they're a big, and they have a son with special needs. So, it all connects and all goes. And I also have a 12-year-old daughter with special needs. So I highlight a lot of the things, and a lot of the philanthropic work that I highlight are women and children issues. And I'll be honest, just like any of us, it's usually stuff that's very personal to me. So I have a daughter with special needs, with learning disabilities, who actually was born with a genetic abnormality. She's very high functioning, but she has issues, and goes to a school with high functioning autistic kids right now. So I do a lot of autistic work, and I do also a lot of work with cancer. My mother has stage 4 breast cancer as well, and is being treated at MD Anderson. So we kind of focus there. We will talk about anything. We're open. But those are kind of my little wheelhouses, is women and children, and especially children with disabilities. So that's kind of where it's all evolved. I also have launched this other initiative that's pretty much the whole reason I formed it and created it and designed it was for charity, is the Southern Charm Bar. And so everything in the Southern Charm Bar, and it's really cool because it's customized, and you can make it individual to you, and you can build your own necklaces, and I have it all on here. And this also, 15% of the charm bar also goes to Best Buddies, and it goes for 6 months. So we created the Southern Charm Bar to do a biannual charity initiative all the time. So that in the store, it's your touch point that you know you can give back if you engage in the charm bar. So really, that's kind of where it's all gone. And I'm trying to think of like, oh, the gifts. Yeah. Oh, okay. And I know y'all here, and Christmas is coming up, and they wanted me to talk about cute gifts. And I know that this group is like, y'all are young and y'all are out there and you're working. And so I just wanted to talk to you about quick little pick-me-ups, like fun things like stocking stuffers. I just wanted to give you, I know I'm going from deep to shallow real quick, but they're like, no, we want y'all to have fun, and just you can come talk to me about all the deep stuff too. But we are doing all these little fun, like I just wanted to highlight kind of gifts under $150 because I know we're all on a budget and me included. So little fun pouches, great little inside bit. I mean, I think this is exciting also for a best girlfriend. Little card holders. They come in a variety of ways. Meredith's walking them off right behind her. No, I'm kidding. And then, I mean, how fun, y'all, to have this with your keys, and then the good luck bamboo charm. I mean, we all need the good luck we get right now, right? We're all freaking out. Fear-based. And then this is the cutest little thing ever because it's like half wallet, half crossbody, and this is detachable, so it could also be a clutch. We try to design things that it basically can like build a home for you. You know, whatever. Like literally, my customer said to me, and she's like, "I don't want to do traps. I want to do this. I want you to be able to carry it. I want to blah blah blah." And we're like, and we're like trying to figure it out. But like everything we make has like detachable straps, and it can be crossbody, it can be short shoulder, and this is also kind of like a wallet too, where you can put your iPhone in here and then your credit cards. So, I mean, if you aren't happy with this, just my mom loves it. Take me to the grocery store. I don't know. So anyway, I just want to highlight some fun things, just especially thinking about where we are right now in the season, make it easy for you. And then if you want, we can open up to questions, or I can just stop talking and y'all can have fun. I don't want to bug everybody.
Just don't please eat and
And eat and drink. Anything y'all want to ask me?
Yes, 15%.
Oh, and everything tonight for y'all is 50%. Because we love you. I'm sorry I didn't announce that, but is there anything that y'all want to ask me?
What's your plan for future growth? Do you have any future growth? Where you're planning?
We're stopping.
What's the Caribbean?
No, I know. Yes, it's always about growth. We, this year, it's been an interesting year. We kind of took a really hard look at our store model and our digital model. We're putting a lot of emphasis on the digital model this year. The store model, we kind of cleaned up. We even ended up closing a couple of stores that were underperforming, which actually is a good thing because you don't want those heavy, on your balance sheet. But we are really doing a big initiative with our digital right now, but we're also opening up. We're still very strategically and responsibly opening up new stores as we see fit. So right now we're getting ready to open up another store in Dallas at Preston Center. Dallas and Houston are really our hubs. We have a store in San Antonio too, but we're growing in Dallas. We have one out in Plano and Legacy, and then one in South Lake. So we're getting ready to open Central, one in Preston Center. And then really also, and I don't even know if I should be announcing this, but we're launching a new division in our company, an in-home stylist division outside the state of Texas. Because we kind of, we're so hubbed in Texas, but we're going to have people sort of represent our brand. And really with our customer, we realized that everything with her is about ease and convenience. Like, how can you make this easy for me? How can you make this where it fits into my lifestyle? So the brick and mortar model, I mean, obviously I still think it's super valid, but I think that, she has to do a lot of work to come and visit you in stores. And depending on who that customer is, how can we go to you? How can we make it where you don't feel like you gotta fight parking or do all those things? So the in-home stylist division is a little bit more of that type of approach where you just kind of bring it to her where she is and hang out with her and figure out what kind of lifestyle she has. So that's another big growth engine for 2017. We've already signed up we just started it. We have 4 people, right? 4 or 5. Her sister-in-law's on it, but and then we're just going to see how that goes as digital continue to grow the brick and mortar in a responsible way, and our in-home stylist division as well. So, any other questions?
How is your typical customer? Like, how would you describe who she is?
Okay, well, her name, we call her Christy. We named her, we've done all these sort of Christy is, really the core Christy is 35 to 55 probably. I mean, obviously it. But she's, yeah. And she is highly educated, and she's wealthy, and she's very open-minded to all sorts of brands. So she's a high-low customer, so she's open-minded. She might have a pair of leggings from Target and a Fendi Pochette bag and Elaine Turner tunic on. Like, she's not this, I only am, which, everyone's like, well, no doubt, but a lot of customers aren't like that at all. They're very like, I do, like, for example, the Asian customer is very much loyal to like a Louis Vuitton or like a high European brands, which is incredible, but they're very married, most are very married to that. Whereas Christy, all the studies have, she's not married to anything. But she can afford anything. So she's really what we call a crossover luxury customer. So she can afford a Chanel bag if that's really where she wants to invest her money. But she's open-minded to it all, right? So that's kind of our little slice of the pie, is that we kind of like fit into that open-minded, not necessarily it has to just be a European, true luxury brand. It doesn't necessarily, there's some customers who are very much stuck also in the middle. They're like, no, I only will shop the Nordstrom floor. I won't, that's the only shoe floor I shop. We have a customer who's very much kind of I like to call her a hunter-gatherer. She's an individual. She loves to tell her friends what she discovered. She kind of takes ownership over the brands that she discovers. So I feel like our customer, we're lucky because we kind of fit into that little zone, So she's Christy, and we
Y'all have a name too, though.
But yeah,
Kate.
so Kate, so they're all names. So there's Kate, who is Christy's daughter, sort of, or daughter-in-law, and then she's more, 25-ish. And then there's Helen, who's my mom. And Helen is the richest of them all. So, but Helen's also the pickiest of them all. So, Helen is like acquired the most net worth of them all, right? But she's also like very, zoned in on only wear this type of heel. So we try in our assortment, I'm like all better, no kidding. But we try to figure out like the core of the assortment is pretty much designed for Christy. But we always do think about, and especially Kate, because she's who we want to adopt the brand. We actually look at the shoe, so that's a Kate shoe, or that's a Christy shoe, or that's a Helen shoe. We do a lot of that. Like, okay, an example, I actually think anybody can do this, but I will tell you, a lot of Helens, I think, will love it because of the wallet aspect and that they can carry it inside their purse, or they can take this off. You know what I'm saying? All those little things. But a cute little Kate can wear it out, Marina's or whatever, and be all. I know y'all have all these kids around me. All day. They're like, Elaine, you can't wear your hair like that. And I'm like, oh my God, braiding my hair. Watching YouTube. I'm trying to play catch up, but thank God I have y'all to keep me real, because otherwise I'd have cobwebs all over me. But so that's our customer thing. And I just think that's enough. Anything else? Yeah. Couple of advices. I would say, my number one, I know this sounds so cliche, but I would say my number one thing is don't start a business just because you think you have this great idea to fill some void. Start a business because you're really passionate about what it is first. And then, yes, you need to think about, am I offering anything that I don't think is offered out there? Like, for example, my business, I was passionate about product, passionate about design, and passionate about my sort of visual communication to the world. And I also thought that I was offering a price point and a luxury product that needed to happen. But I do see, and it's sort of interesting to me, these young people say, oh, I'm going to start a business because it's very clinical. It's like, because I know this X, Y, Z isn't out there, and I'm going to go raise angel investor money, and I'm going to do this, and we're going to fill it. But I guess what I would say is, for a long-term sustainable business to work, people see through if you don't have the passion. And if you don't have the passion, I think you can maybe make something work, just because you think it's this practical void that needs to be filled. But if you're talking about long term, I keep waking up every morning going to this business, there's got to be a passion there. Got to be a passion piece from you that is totally emanated through that business. Because otherwise, I think it's so hard, you know, because it's so hard to start your business. So that would be my number one advice, is really believe in what you're doing.
So kind of building off of that, what would your advice be for investors? So you have the practical piece, you have the business plan, you have your ideas, you have it all mapped out, and you're ready to present. What is your advice as to where to begin with investors?
I mean, I think that like the investors look for, you mean like how do you even approach investors?
Correct, yeah.
I mean, I think that well, if you're totally newbie and you're trying to start your own business, you know, I think that you really do, and you're in such a great environment, not necessarily saying economically right now, but where the world is today, there's so many, when I started there was nothing, but so many incubators out there that are like focused on, I invest in just women-owned businesses. Like I have a good friend who actually runs one that I could even give y'all her name, that she starts these new, and they're all seedling companies, but there have to be women run and women focused. And so they find angel investors, they kind of gather up a bunch of investors to invest in these women. You know, the whole angel investor network is huge. Venture capital, you know, obviously I think venture capital, honestly though, is always leaning more digital than anything else. But I think that if, you know, my advice when people really come to me and say I want to start a business is, I kind of look at like maybe that first 6 months to a year. What I did was, my husband and I put a little bit of money that we had into it, and then I was able to raise funds from friends and family the first year. And then if you really feel like you have something, I think, I'm not a huge believer in that like you come up with a big business plan and then you go out immediately into the angel investor world. I think you have to have your feet a little bit grounded in, is this really something, give yourself time to even see if you believe in it, right? And that you think, and also that shows through that they see that you do. Whereas you see a lot of people run immediately out, I've got this great idea and this great thing and I'm gonna go get all this money. Well then all of a sudden you've got all this money and then you owe them all that money. So then you've got money you're paying for and then you're like, wait, this isn't even really working out, I have to rethink it and evolve it. So I would say if you really wanna start your own business, you know, this sounds so cheesy, but like, start saving up a little bit of money to try to put in your own money, or go to people that you know, that you trust, that kind of invest in small deals, and do it yourself for a while, and then kind of launch yourself out into a network, a fundraising network where you think, okay, I really, because once you start getting other people's money, you're diluted. A lot of it's loaned to you, you know, so you know, it's not something you just run and do, you know, and that sort of goes back to that whole digital. They all ran and, you know, that all blew up in their face, and so they all way overvalued their companies and ended up having all this loaned money to them, and you know, so I think it's hard. I mean, raising money is super hard, you know, and I'm not saying that I have it all figured out, but when I talk to people who want to start their own businesses, I always ask them, like, if you have any sort of kind of mentors or people around you that, you know, even if it's a couple of $1,000s here and there, that people can say, okay, just get 6 months, let's see if you can do this, or whatever it is that you want to do. You know, the problem is, I was building product, and product's expensive. This whole thing is so expensive. So I was fundraising a very expensive business. But in today's world with digital, and if you can provide a service, it doesn't have to be what Elaine Turner did. I mean, it can be so much more efficient through cost, you know. And obviously with the digital landscape the way it is, I mean, you can start businesses online and not have near the amount of seed money that I needed. Because I'm like buying all this freaking product. You know, it costs so much. Like, oh, I think it's product. It's like, oh, it's for you. You know, it's expensive, but you know. But then you also have all this equity in the product that you have too, and you have this foundation. So it's, you know, it's all a give and take. But yeah, I mean, it's complicated. Is there anything else that you want to ask me? Or anybody have their own business here? Anybody entrepreneur?
Yeah, better.
I'm on the circular board actually.
Yes! Oh my God! That's exactly who I was talking about.
Yeah, I had an idea. Yeah. Oh, we make smart toolboxes. Sorry, I probably should.
So tell me what you, so she, who I was talking about, this friend of mine who runs this whole fundraising network for women, and you are one of her clients. What did you start? What did you do?
Ellie Grid, we make smart pillboxes.
So they invested in you.
They don't invest. They are
Or did they-
women's accelerator.
Okay.
And
But don't they
match-
have like angel investors that like the
We do
Laura
like a
Marcier
demo
lady?
day, and actually it's on Monday, but if anyone wants to know more about it, it really depends on your industry.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it.
But you say they didn't invest, but don't they, I thought they paired you with angel investors who come on board and try to help you like fundraise and stuff
You
like that.
can do that through the demo days.
Oh,
Which
okay.
is digitally, but the best way to do it is just be here in Houston and go knock on her door, which is at Station, which is also where I work. So I go bug her every day, and you just say, "I want this phone number," and she'll usually give it to you.
That's so cool. That's so neat that you did that.
Yeah, I recommend it to anybody.
What is a smart pill box? What does it do? Like,
It reminds you when to take your medications and vitamins, and you can organize it in seconds. And we're actually on Indiegogo right now. Heard of that? Also really dorky, but cool. You can pre-order products. So we've been doing that for about a week, and I think we've raised whatever 73% of 40K is. I can't remember right now.
and you've won a lot of awards for this.
I was going to say, another great way of funding is through competitions. We've done competitions, and you don't have to give away equity.
Yeah.
So I really like that, and use your woman card.
That's so neat. I'm so glad that you said something.
Yeah, I was going to come say hi, so hi.
I love entrepreneurs in the room. Is there anything else?
Do you do your own marketing, or do you have an agency that helps you?
Right over here.
No, Meredith is our, and we've gone through a whole evolution of marketing. We used to like contract out PR firms, and we went down that whole road. But we just realized that if it's in house and they believe in it and they live it, breathe it, you get the best results. But so Meredith really heads up everything from all the advertising that we do, the PR related stuff that we do. She helps plan events. She helps with our social media. All these.
If y'all know of anyone.
Yeah, and social media. We're looking. She does like a whole.
Wait, what are you looking for? Who needs to join?
So that's so fascinating. You should talk to her too.
Very fun. It's a fun career. And you get to shop too.
I know that. She calls me all the time.
She has my card in it. But no, marketing is a very fun career.
Some time to shop.
I know. I'm done. I'm done.